Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's Easy Game here again with another video for you guys. This one is all about Devastation Evoker, the new class, the new spec. It's kind of a hot topic. A lot of people still haven't figured this one out yet, so I'm here to try to help you guys and lead you guys in the right direction. This class has been receiving a few buffs recently. The most recent was a buff on disintegrate damage, and it was significantly noticeable. That's your main damage ability outside of your burst window. And getting a huge chunk of damage buff on it. I've been playing it this last week. It's very, very noticeable. And guess what, guys? Tuesday, another round of hotfixes are coming, and disintegrate is getting buffed by another 15%. Now, what this means for the spec, it's going to be cranking consistent damage. Let me tell you, because the 15% damage buff they've already done was really noticeable in this last week that I've been playing. So another 15% on top of that. I think it's going to be a huge damage bump for this class outside of the burst window, which the burst window has been nerfed, but it's still significant burst, and to compensate with this damage buff, it actually will end up helping the class be able to like consistently get more damage out, consistently get more kills, rather than rely on a gimmick one-shot that they had in the pre-patch. So I've been messing around with specs, and I think you're going to want to play a spec that's pretty much centered around disintegrate, because it's going to be so much of your damage now. I'll show you guys the spec we were playing before and the spec that I think is going to be better on Tuesday. So the spec we were playing before was a living flame spec. It was centered around, you saw the disintegrate damage, you still had all the stuff you had, but it was more centered around getting these big living flames. This build actually got slightly nerfed because they nerfed Scarlet Adaptation, which was a big buff to your living flame when you got some heals out. They actually nerfed this for the healer spec, but for some reason it just was evoker wide. I don't know why. So this build is still probably good on Tuesday, but I really think that this is going to be the build that I'm going to be playing, and I think it's going to be the best build for consistency and consistent damage. It's this build right here. It's pretty much all in on disintegrate. You still have your burst windows and stuff like that, but you don't really play around living flame too much. You can still cast it because this still buffs a living flame. You can still get a pretty big AoE living flame, but it won't be instant. You'll have to cast it. Shorter cast time though. But your disintegrates are gonna crank. Like, I've been playing this week, and my disintegrates are cranking. I'm topping damage in BGs. It's really good at chasing flags and RBGs. The disintegrates just crank the flag carriers. So every flag map that I've been playing, I've been able to just keep up with the FC. I got a lot of self-sustain and heals. If you're renewing Blaze and Wall during burst windows, it's a huge survivability tool, and I've just been able to keep up with FCs and disintegrate them, literally and figuratively. Another thing that I have to say about the class that I initially was skeptical about is the utility. I think if you guys have watched my stream, you guys have heard me say many times, Evokers need to do insane damage because they lack utility. They lack utility. They lack utility. I've said that so many times, and while it is still true, the more I've been playing this class, the more I've been realizing that they do actually have utility. It's just not in the traditional form that we're used to. And by that, I'm really talking pretty much solely about rescue. Rescue is one of my favorite abilities in the game, and I think it's one of the best abilities in the entire game, honestly. I think this is a very underrated ability, especially when paired with Twin Guardian. It could be so clutch for Arena, for RBGs, for just everything. It's insane. It's an insane ability. So I'll show you guys how to use this a little bit better later in the video, but I just wanted to talk about it for a quick second because it's insane. Another thing is Unravel. I'm actually not spec into it right now because sometimes you don't want to spec into it, but Unravel is really powerful too. You'll want to spec into this when you fight against a DK, when you fight against a monk, when you fight against a mage. It's really good against mages because look, 9-second cooldown, right? Every time they put up their shields, bam, Unravel. Shield's gone. It hits for 120k on the shields. It's crazy. It's something I don't think that we've talked about yet in any of our Evoker videos that we've made, but this is insane, Unravel. So it's something you definitely want to spec into depending on what you're up against. It's not always good because it only works versus shields, but versus monks, like I said, versus monks, DKs, especially DKs, because without this, when they AMS, you don't really have anything that can break it. You have to cast a living flame because it won't let you disintegrate while AMS is up. And that's your main consistent damage, right? And you don't want to burst into an AMS, right? It's a waste of your burst. So Unravel is kind of the only thing you have to help you get AMS off of a DK. So it's really good against DKs, mages, monks, maybe even disc priests. If you see those, they're pretty rare these days. But yeah, as far as the talents go on the right side, like I said, it's pretty much all in disintegrate. You know, whenever you cast your eternity surge, your next two disintegrates are buffed by 15%. If you have an essence burst, then it's buffed by another 15%. So it's a 30% bump on your, and then if you have Shattering Star, that's another 20%. There's just, you see what I mean? There's so many damage amps, and all these buffs that are coming for Disintegrate, it all scales with these damage amps, right? So these Disintegrates are going to be absolutely cranking. And then this right here allows you to sometimes, you know, it's a 20% chance. Usually I don't like these talents, but you know, it actually procs more than you think it does, and it allows you to get another, just more Disintegrates out. It's all going to be all about Disintegrates here. Okay, Disintegrates are going to be cranking on Tuesday. Another thing, let's talk about the honor talents here. So I think these two are pretty much, you just have to take them. Honestly, Nullifying Shroud is just too good to not have. Unwritten Flight, too good to not have. So you pretty much come down to this last talent that you have a little bit of options for. Chrono Loop is really good in Arena. Basically, it's a reverse time, alter time on the enemy. You know, this has been talked about in videos before. But it can be really clutch. You know, you get somebody low after your burst window. You know cooldowns are coming. You know they're not going to die. Toss it out. Bam. It's really good against Paladin sacks, which is actually becoming more popular. A lot of H-Pallies have been popping out of the woodwork. People are starting to figure out that they're pretty good. Ultimate sack on a 1 minute cooldown. Very powerful. And a lot of times, you know, they'll sack at 1%, you know. Here you go. Chrono Loop. Bam. Oh, this guy got sacked. He's 100% good. Chrono Loop him. Wait for that sack to end. Comes back. Dead. Really good against Paladins. Scouring Flame is absolutely insane in RBGs. I top purges most games with this, and sometimes I go back and I look, and I'm doubling everybody's dispels from purges, and I look at all the things that I've got with this, and it's you know, it's a bunch of PIs, a bunch of valuable stuff that you just randomly will get with Scouring Flame. It's really good on certain RBG maps. Chrono Loop can still be good on flag maps too. But honestly, I think Scouring Flame is very, very undervalued. These other ones, this could be good sometimes, you know, maybe versus double melee in Arena. Precog, probably not worth taking ever on this class, to be honest with you. Like, it doesn't really matter if you get kicked. You have 3 different schools, more than 3 actually. You have, I don't even know, 5 different schools of magic. Like, if you get kicked, it's whatever. You have so many things you could still cast. I don't really think it's necessary. Swoop Up can be good if you use it correctly, but the range on it is so much shorter than Rescue. It's just not as good as Rescue. Obsidian Metal can be good too if you don't want your damage to get interrupted, especially since the Disintegrate is going to be such a chunk of your damage. It's just a channeled spell. This will help you get them out quicker. But generally what I run is Scouring Flame in RBGs and Chrono Loop in Arena. That's generally my go-to. Sometimes I'll play Scouring Flame in Arena if I feel like it's going to get a huge value against certain teams. But yeah, that pretty much sums up the honor talents there. I want to show you guys a quick video about how to use Rescue and what you can do before I get into the damage rotation. So the thing about Rescue is that it doesn't matter where you're taking them, as long as it's in your line of sight. It doesn't need to be in their line of sight, right? So you can drag people through walls, you can drag people through floors. It's really good at dragging people from bottom to top levels, using the Z-axis like that. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter where they are. All that matters is where you are. If you're in line of sight of them, you can drag them somewhere else in line of sight of you. So I'm gonna show you guys a clip from my stream. It was a good rescue that basically like saved my healer here and dragged them through what looks like through a wall to the enemy team, right? So let's take a look at it real quick. So you see my healer's kind of in trouble right here. Boom, boom. See, it's hard to even tell where we went because we went through a wall essentially from what their POV, right? So let me show you one more time. They're training my healer. Healer dashes in. She's 100% dead. Boom. Rescue. Gone. We out. We out. We out. Very, very fun and very powerful ability. I absolutely love it. But that's just one example of the things you can do. You could, like I said, you can also go through Z-axis. There's the range you can cover. A lot of times on flag maps when I'm chasing an FC, I see one of my DPS brothers back behind me and I'm like, you know, he's struggling because he's playing a class that's slow. I'm like, yo, let me help you out. Rescue. Both of us get a little jump forward. I help him get away from the defense DPS. I help myself get forward. It's a win-win. You know, maybe the absorb gets some value too because he's getting bursted down. Maybe I could save my healer. It's just such a fun ability. I love it. I love Rescue. I can't tell you guys enough how much I've been loving Rescue. And there's just so many things you can do with it. it's amazing. Sleepwalk is just a good cross CC. That's pretty much all the CC you got. You got the stun here, but you know, you can also time a pressing roar at the right times. But that pretty much sums up the utility. So then we'll go to the damage rotation. It's really simple, honestly. A lot of people are overcomplicating this class. The damage rotation is very, very simple. Obviously, for your burst windows, you want to line stuff up. You know, you want to hit them with the root, maybe a disorienting roar if you don't have any other stuns, and then you want to just try to hit as many people as possible with your deep breath. Right? The deep breath is a huge chunk of your damage still. You still have the same burst you had at 60. Boom, boom. Big one shots right there. It's not quite a one shot anymore, but you know, it's still big burst, right? If it crits, you can get big damage. Another thing to note is that when you have Dragon Rage up, you want to be casting your empowered spells as much as possible, because it increases the duration of Dragon Rage through this talent right here. This one right here. Casting a power spell extends the duration of Dragon Rage by 6 seconds, right? So obviously your instant flame breath will increase the duration, but you want to also pair Eternity Surge with it afterwards as well, because that also increases the duration. So that increases the duration of Dragon Rage by an additional 12 seconds right there. It basically doubles the duration, right? So if you don't pair these together, your Dragon Rage will be half the duration, right? You don't want to press Dragon Rage when the Eternity Surge is off cooldown. And with these other talents that you're playing, they lower the cooldown. I think it's this one right here. Essence reduces the running cooldowns of Eternity Surge, right? So if you're able to spam, let me show you. So I'll press Eternity Surge. So I'm spamming my Essence abilities right now. Look at the cooldown on Eternity Surge. It's cranking low. It's cranking low, right? I'm not getting lucky with my procs here. Okay. Bam. Another second off. Another second off. You see how you could shorten the cooldown of Eternity Surge? Sometimes if you're getting lucky and you have a bunch of procs, you can actually get another Eternity Surge during the Dragon Rage, which is another 6 seconds. It doesn't happen often, but I have had it happen before. Another important thing about this class is to utilize your off heals. The off heals are very strong. So let's see, Verdant Embrace right here. It just healed me for, it's because I'm not skilled for PvP right now, but this heals for a lot more than it just shows. Sometimes I hit for like 70k. It's an instant heal. You can also use it as a gap closer to your teammates. Verdant Embrace is just, it's a really powerful spell. This one heals you. It doesn't really heal your teammates for that much, but it does heal you. And then for your normal damage rotation, like I said, it's just all disintegrate. Disintegrate, disintegrate, disintegrate. You know, you'll have plenty of time to weave in Shattering Stars too, because Shattering Star is only a 15-second cooldown. You just want to make sure that it's up when you Dragon Rage and Fire Breath, right? So let me show you one more time what it looks like when I would start a game off with. You know, line up your root as much as you can, hit them with a big deep breath, maybe port back if it's looking a little hairy in there. Shattering Star, fire, boom. You can also, and then after that's out, you hit them with Eternity Surge, boom. Increase the duration by another 6 seconds. See, let's see if I can get a proc here to make it shorter. I might be able to get another Eternity Surge out here right here before this ends. I don't think I will, but I have before. See, I'm close. If I was a little bit quicker, I would have got one out, and then we would have had another 6 seconds to our Dragon Rage. But that's basically the rotation you want to do for your burst windows. You can also Eternity Surge before you do the instant flame breath for more instant burst. But honestly, at 70, at 60, that was a literal one shot. People would die instantly. But after the nerfs and with the higher health pulls, doesn't really one shot anymore, so it's not as important to do that. Now you can just kind of send the flame breath and then Eternity Surge afterwards. It doesn't really matter anymore as much, but yeah, that's that. And then a pressing roar, if you have a teammate like a DH for example with big stuns, you want to make sure you're communicating with them like, hey, you got stun ready, boom, a pressing roar, bam, big stuns on everybody right there. Maybe if you're playing with a rogue, which is probably a good comp for Evoker after the buffs, make sure you pair that a pressing roar up with your teammate's stun, because your stun it's only 3 seconds, right? So a pressing roar is more for your teammates than for yourself, to be honest with you, with the lack of CC that this class has. Another powerful utility spell is Cauterizing Flame. Some of the most OP classes right now, this is really good against, right? Feral Druids, all their damage just bleeds, right? So if Feral opens up on you or your healer, You know, right after rip, just hit them with a cauterizing flame. It just basically resets their go. They have to reapply all their bleeds. Maybe you know, do it on their Feral Frenzy. They lose their Feral Frenzy bleed. It's really good. It's really good against assassination rogues too. You know, a lot of their damage is bleeds, a lot of their damage is poisons. Bam, all of it's gone, and to heal, right? And it's only a 1 minute CD. This is a really powerful spell. It reminds me of the Hunter spell that basically does the same thing. So the survival Hunter spell, Mending Bandage, right? It's basically the same thing, except it's instant cast and it's not bandage, right? But it's a really powerful spell. So make sure you utilize this as well. Another thing about your defensives, Renewing Blaze, when you spec into it as a 1 minute cooldown, this is a good spell, but you can't use this on its own. The more I've been playing, the more I've been realizing that Renewing Blaze is good, but if you're just relying on Renewing Blaze by itself, you're probably still gonna die, right? Because you want to use this when you're getting bursted down, but it doesn't give you any damage reduction, and it takes 8 seconds for the heal to kick in. So if you're getting bursted down, you're probably gonna die in 8 seconds if you're just relying on Renewing Blaze, right? So you want to pair it with a wall. When you pair it with a wall, not only do you minimize the chance of you getting bursted down in that 8 seconds, but it allows the Renewing Blaze to get its full heal off without you dying. The more I've been playing with this, the more I've been noticing that you want to pair these two together. Obviously, if you don't have a charge of the wall up, which you generally should, because you have 2 charges to 1.5 minute cooldown, you should be able to pair these together almost every time. But if you can't, then sure, send the Renewing Blaze. But those two paired together is an insane survivability tool if you use it before the burst windows. You don't want to use Renewing Blaze when you're low HP. You want to use it when you're full HP, when you know the damage is coming. It's a preemptive spell, right? Just like walls are too. They're preemptive spells. This class doesn't have really any emergency, like, oh shit, you know, bubble, insta heal. It doesn't really have that. It's all preemptive defensives. You got to press them quick. You got to press them when you see the damage coming. And that's another reason why people have been struggling with this class defensively, because they don't have an emergency button to press when you're low. They don't have it. You have a couple heals, you have rescue, and that's it. You just have to be quick. You have to anticipate the damage. You have to know what's coming. It does make the class a little bit more difficult, but when you're able to pull it off, Renewing Blaze is very powerful. Sometimes it tops healing on myself in a game. We'll top this off with the stat priorities. I still think Mastery is the best. I've been testing, crit, haste, mastery. I still think mastery is insanely powerful, but I've swapped from crit, which I was playing originally and the pre-patch and at the start of the expansion, to haste, because disintegrate scales really well with haste. So I think you want to swap your pieces that can't have mastery to haste, which is actually a lot of your pieces. The crafted boots have haste, which is good. So swap to haste. I think mastery is still the best, so you want to go mastery, haste, verse. I think those are the stat priorities that you want to go with. Make sure you craft these boots, guys. If you don't know how to craft these boots, make sure you check out my YouTube video on how to gear. I've already gone over it. Yeah, and I think that pretty much sums it up, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully this guys can help you out come Tuesday. You guys can start flying around on your dragons, and I will see you guys at hopefully you guys stop by my Twitch. And as always, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment on the video if you have any questions or comments, or you think there's anything better than what I haven't talked about. And I'll see you guys soon.